Hi there, and welcome to my Stellaris Let's Play Advanced Strategy Tips and Tricks. This is episode 15. In this episode, I'm going to be looking at my third tradition, my expansion goals, tributaries, and my scientist's expertise. I hope you enjoy the episode. Welcome back. The year is 2251. In the League, we have a good number of planets. We've got 7 planets so far. We're expanding into space. We're almost completed our expansion up in the north over there. And this little pocket we managed to grab down here in the kind of galactic center. And then we have an interesting political situation. Our neighbors are reasonably happy with us. Well, they're not massively unhappy with us, and some are downright cordial. So, let's get going. Our lead scientist on engineering has died, so we're going to have to replace him with someone else. Now, I'll prefer to take a scientist with brain slugs, because brain slugs are going to give us a bonus 10%. But materials is okay. I mean, I really would like brain slugs and voidcraft. I'm going to recruit this scientist for now with brain slugs, and I'm going to see if I reroll into something better. Well, I didn't get anything better. So I think I'm just going to have to take this brain slugs. I'm going to get a plus 10% base, which is 5% less than this voidcraft expertise at plus 15. But that's not massive, that 5% difference. And if I research any materials, I'm going to get an extra 15%, which is definitely good. I mean, the voidcraft would have been nice. Depending on the traits you have or the expertise, it increases the chance to roll certain technologies. So for instance, if I have a voidcraft scientist, I have an increased chance to roll voidcraft technologies. So it's always worth checking which scientists you have in order to make sure you're going to get the technologies you want. For instance, in physics, I've got a computing scientist, which is why it's increased the chance of getting this interplanetary research initiative, which is a computing technology, and that'll let me build the research institute, which is something I really want to build. It's a very important building. And yeah, so basically make sure you're looking for scientists that are going to give you good bonuses. And in terms of those bonuses, voidcraft is definitely good. Industry is the most important early game bonus if you want to get to getting your robots and your droid technologies, as I've talked about in previous videos. After that point, voidcraft kind of becomes the most powerful. In the physics, you've got some of the technologies are going to be this particle technology is really quite good, and computing. They tend to be the best ones. Field manipulation it's okay, it's not fantastic, but this particles is going to be getting you some of the buildings like chemical plants and also some of the increased weapons. And the computing technology is going to be giving you things like here. Look, you can see the sensors, and it's also going to be giving you an increase to lots of other technologies like that. Lots of the increased research speed. Meanwhile, looking at the society, that one's kind of a mixed bag. I would say that the one that gives us this New Worlds one, which lets us build larger planetary capitals, that's definitely a good one. I've got a New World scientist here because the increased planetary capital technology, so this one, colonial centralization, and the next one, which I don't think I've researched yet. No, I haven't got it. The next one is the largest one, which gives us an extra civic slot on our civilization. But that one is definitely very important. Otherwise, the statecraft is quite good. Genetics is good for the first 2 technologies in cloning, and if you're going to get down that path, the genetic engineering path in your ascension perks, then it'll also be good. But otherwise, the one I'd say is definitely kind of not really one you want to pick up usually is the military theory one. And then looking at engineering, as I said before, industry is fantastic at the early game. Voidcraft is going to be better later on. Materials is probably the worst of the bunch in this grouping, but there are some reasonable technologies here, some technologies that are good for your economy. So it's not the end of the world that I've got this scientist here with materials, but I want to be changing that where I can. And so looking at my fleet composition here, I'm not going to continue buying more destroyers or corvettes. I'm going to be buying more cruisers. Cruisers in the late game are completely useless because they are completely outcompeted by battleships. A battleship can do everything a cruiser can, but just better. So what I'm going to be doing now, though, is I'm going to be, when I'm increasing this fleet size, buying more cruisers. Now, the cruiser design, as I went through in the last episode, isn't fantastic. I've just got these coil guns on there. It's not brilliant. But when I get my carrier technology, I'm going to be upgrading all of them, and that will not take very long and be at a low cost, as opposed to building them straight off the bat. I'm going to be upgrading them, and that means that I want to be building lots of them to upgrade, to retrofit. Now, I've actually got the carrier technology has come up now, so I'm going to grab that one. And once that's done, I'm then going to go to my situation log, and I'm going to embrace the flesh is weak. So I'm going to embrace the synthetic ascension. Not the full one, just that's the first stage of it. That's going to give me plus 20 habitability, which coupled with the tomb world habitability, which I've just got. So now I'm at 30% on these tomb worlds, means I'll be able to go up to 50%. And now we're starting to get to a place where it would actually be worthwhile to have pops on these tomb worlds. And that's going to give me an extra, what is this, 3, 4, 5, 6 worlds at my disposal. Fantastic. I couldn't ask for better. And then here we are looking at society research. So what do I have? I've got the tile blocker technology. I won't be taking that. Interstellar campaigns, well, I'm not about to go to war. Gene tailoring, that is interesting, and it's definitely a useful one, being able to genetically modify. And I'll want to take this before I go full synthetic ascension, because there'll be some interesting and important things I'll be doing in order to actually make some of my population regress back to a pre-cybernetic state, so I keep some meaty, fleshy, biological pops in my empire. Otherwise, I won't have any proper pop growth. I'll only have my robotic assembly growth. And so if you have both, you maximize your total population growth. The more pops you have, the more you can do. So it's always important. So I'm going to be taking gene tailoring, but not immediately, probably. Terrestrial sculpting, terraforming. So I've got one arid world. Have I got anything else? There's a world over here that I haven't surveyed yet, and a fleet that I haven't taken out. So the tropical world, that is not the right type for me, so I could change that one. And another tropical world. So there's 2 more worlds here, which I could take if I took that technology. 3 worlds I could change. So actually terraforming, I'm going to go for that, because it's only going to take me 27 months. I've got a big wad of energy saved up. I'm going to be able to convert some of these worlds into terraformed worlds to put my main population on them. So I'm going to look at doing that. Now, something I'm going to propose in the galactic community here is form the galactic market. As you can see, that's got strong support. Everyone is going to support that. So once I pass this galactic market, I'm going to get a bonus to my diplomatic weight. I think it's 5% for a period of time afterwards, because I will have proposed something that was passed. So it's actually quite nice to do that. So it's 100 influence. I've got 400. I can spend that. So I'm going to chuck this in there. I'm happy with Form Council forming, because that's going to increase my diplomatic weight as well. And I'd be happy with this passing, because that's going to increase my diplomatic weight in the short term. Plus, I'll also want to be competing for the galactic market, because if I can get it, I'm going to get a 10% reduction on my market fee. And I'm going to look into how best you can compete for that in a moment. So I've upgraded this world here, and what do I want to build there? So something actually I'm going to do. So I have, on this world here, I've got this level 4 governor. So he is producing plus 8% resources, minus 8% empire sprawl, minus 12 crime, as well as plus 10% to all my research. Well, that would be much nicer to have on my core sector, because I have a planet producing a lot of research. So I'm actually going to swap these over. I've waited until now because I wanted to increase his skill level a bit. So I am going to be taking a minus 4% reduction on my resources from jobs by doing this, but it shouldn't crash my economy. Let's just swap them over. So swap that one to there, and then bring the unassigned one over to here. That shouldn't crash my economy, but it should mean that I am going to get a nice bonus to my research output. Let's wait to get to the end of the month and then we'll see what we're producing. So that's given me an extra 14 research. That's a good little... It's important to get every little extra bonus you can get, for sure. This is a game where getting ahead a little bit will end up meaning you're ahead a lot. Now I'm looking at this world. I want to be choosing what I'm going to specialize it in. Looking through my other worlds. What do I have that I quite need at the moment? So I am quite a bit over my administrative cap, which means I'm going to turn this into an administrative... I'm going to build an administrative office there. I don't want it to turn into an administrative world, a bureaucratic center, whilst I would get a small amount of extra administration capacity and a reduction in their upkeep. That's not going to be as good as getting a plus 20% bonus to my miners output, given that I've got these nice 6 miners here. So I don't want to be doing that. Now I will be doing a small amount of population management here. What I'm going to be doing is... Let's see, I have not got the technology to increase the generator districts, but I will build another agriculture district to increase my housing and increase the jobs. And once that's finished, I'm going to be moving a population, probably from this planet with 11. I'll move a single robot across to here to boost the number up to 20, because I'll be on 19 when this guy is built. And then I'll be building my entertainment district here, because at the moment I am running a slight amenities shortage. I've got the goods. I can distribute luxury goods, which is going to be, it's going to hold that off for a bit longer again. That there, so I've gone from 48 to 53. That's going to be plus 2% for that I was losing before. I'm getting that back. And then I'm also going to be getting an extra 3 times 0.6%. So that's what, a total swing of 3.8%, which is, it's a nice extra bonus to my resources. And then I've completed more of the Zeroni. And where has the next one spawned? Do I have it? Yes, thank goodness. I have that world. Let's excavate that site. And what else has happened? I've also recently passed something. What was it? It was the buzzword standardization. Fantastic. That's going to have boosted everyone's, but mainly mine, because I have the highest economic weight. Yep. My economy should be ahead of the others. We are on Grand Admiral, but we're just Grand Admiraling a little bit better than they are. Let's just continue to balance my economy a bit. This world here, let's check our trade policies. We should have, yeah, we've got consumer benefits. So we're currently getting most of these consumer goods from, well, actually most from jobs. We're getting a good healthy number, 14 from trade. This planet here, though, the mining world, I'm going to build another civilian industries. That way, I'm going to reduce this deficit down, because I'm currently buying in 15 a month. I'll reduce that deficit down, and that'll definitely help. Now, looking at my physics technology, how am I doing there? So I could get better shields, disruptors. This is an interesting weapon, disruptors. I personally don't rate it. Some people think it's really quite good. It's quite easy to counter if you've got crystalline plating. If you've got the crystalline plating, you can simply put more crystalline plating on to not have any shields and armor, and then disruptors are completely useless. So I definitely don't rate it. Whilst I wouldn't normally go for a better reactor, in this case, I'm definitely going to go with a reactor, because looking at it, it's the cheapest technology that's not completely useless. This +2 archaeology skill, completely useless. I'm going to take the cold fusion reactors. Absolutely. And now here I'm going to look at removing some ruins. -2, yeah. I'm just going to knock one of those off. Well, first though, I will build an agriculture district. And then after that is done, I'll make sure to queue this up. And then looking at my other planets, how am I doing? -2 for housing, but that's fine. I am currently +1 on volatile motes, so I will be upgrading this alloy foundry. I want more alloys. And how am I doing for my exotic gases? Well, I'm +1 on exotic gases, so I will also be upgrading a research building. I completed more research. Fantastic. So now I've done that. Let's take a look at what we've got. None of these technologies are jumping out to me. I don't really want to get the better fusion missiles. The thrusters is probably the best one here to increase my ship speed, my sublight speed. Increased carrier build speed and decreased cost is okay, but that's quite a high technology, 50 months. So I'm going to queue this one up. But Then I'm immediately going to go to my situation log and start the flesh is weak. That'll finish in 59 months, so around 5 years, just under. And once I've done that, I'm then going to be able to start colonizing some of these tomb worlds down here. I'm not going to go mad with it. At the 50% habitability, I'm going to have some big negative modifiers there. I'm going to be losing a big amount of pop growth. I'm going to be losing a lot of resources, higher amenities usage and higher upkeep. But I'm going to try and offset that by cramming as many robots as I possibly can onto these planets. I'm going to move robot pops from other planets to occupy these districts, the mining districts and the generator districts, because I'm going to kind of try and turn these worlds into rural worlds. And now I'm also going to save up to get to 1500 alloys at this point, and I'm going to be trying to build a habitat. And I'm almost certainly going to be building that habitat in this system on this planet here, so I can start building a research outpost habitat, because I don't have any research worlds at the moment. None of my worlds are currently specialized towards research except my capital, and that means I'm only at 600 research. I need to do something about that. 600, whilst all right, isn't very high. I need to increase that number. We've also got a tradition finished. So let's look at what we want to do with our 4th tradition slot. Well, straight off, I'm going to write off Harmony. I think that's usually one that, unless I'm going to be getting up to this one, unless I'm feeling very threatened by a neighbor and I want to be increasing my defensive fire rate inside my borders and my ship speed, most of the policy perks here aren't fantastic. Reduced stratum, decreased time is fine, but if you're doing proper management, irrelevant. Governing ethics attraction, I actually think that's in some ways a negative. You want to have lots of factions. That's going to give you good influence output. Increased stability is great, but I should be getting quite high stability anyway. I'm already at 79%, so that's pretty good. Oh, that's pretty not useful. And then plus 20 years leader lifespan. Well, that's fine, but not great. Prosperity, that's going to be quite a good one. Increased 10% to my mining stations. I like that. I'm actually now looking between prosperity and supremacy. So supremacy is going to massively increase my fleet's abilities and kind of that thing. And this point here, it's 2250. I need to start gearing up for war. There's going to be some sort of mid-game crisis possibly happening soon. I mean, I've got the Khan right on my border, so I might need to fortify against any sort of incursion from that. And on top of that, I might want to be starting to make some tributaries out of my neighbors. For instance, this neighbor here, the Glesbic Foundation, they're nice, they're lovely, and they would make they'd make a great tributary. They have some reasonable output. If I go to offer them a trade deal, I can look through what their resource output is, which is something you can do even with players. So I can press Shift and Control, click on the monthly, and it'll take me to their maximum, because it'll be trying to add 1,000. So I can see that they're currently making 149 minerals, 10 energy, and 4 food. If I made them a tributary, I'd be getting 25% of their base amounts. So that's not their total. So for instance, if I was a tributary, I would be paying 25% of 157. It's just minerals and energy. 25% of 305 minerals to my overlord. Important things to note about tributaries, actually, just while I'm on it. Your diplomatic stance changes how much you pay to your overlord. It doesn't change how much they receive, but it changes how much you pay. If you can change your stance to cooperative, you will only pay 10% of your minerals and of your energy, whereas your overlord will still receive 25. So if you're in a situation where you are somebody's tributary, change your stance to cooperative. On the other hand, if you're belligerent, that increases the amount you have to pay, I think, to 50%. So you're paying half, which is completely crippling. If you're made into a tributary, it's always important to change your diplomatic stance. So these people here, I might want to look at making them into a tributary. They're at the moment equivalent to me in fleet power. So they're at 71, and what am I at? I'm at 70. So if we start... So if I build that one habitat and then I start trying to build into some cruisers, I've got 2 entry points to my space. I think that'll be quite an easy war to win. I can jump in, get to their capital quite quickly, land on it, take it. Let's see what they've got in the way of armies. They've got 2 armies, so I could come in here, take their capital, knock that out immediately. That will cripple their economy. I could probably claim a few systems from them as well. I'd probably like to claim a few systems along this path just to open up my space, so I've got a good line there. I'd also like to take this system, Tianki Vec, which is the Tianki spawning point. But that's the kind of war I'm looking at there. That's a future war, my first engagement. So diplomacy, I'm not going to be forming a federation soon. Whilst I do want to form a federation, and I want to get their federation which is leveled up before the endgame crisis spawns, so I can get a nice bonus to my damage to endgame crisis units. That'll take somewhere in the region of 60 or 70 years. And I don't think we're 70 years away. I think this endgame, the endgame is set to start at 2350 in this one. It's a bit earlier than the generic, but it's still not, that's still not for another 100 years. So I'm still more than 70 years away from that, so I don't need to be going for diplomacy yet. And there's also a federation that already exists. I could worm my way into that one. So really I'm looking between supremacy and diplomacy. Dominion, which I haven't quite touched on, that's fine. I'm going to be getting some okay bonuses, but this extended shifts is definitely good, because if you've got slaves in your empire, output increase 5% from workers and slaves, well, that doubles up. So slaves are considered workers, so that's actually a 10% increase to resource output for slaves, which is really something to talk about. Prosperity is going to give me the plus 10% bonus to my mining stations, and also some good bonuses in terms of upkeep reduction, a 5% output increase to my specialists, which is definitely good. That helps double up with meritocracy to be giving me at least 15% extra specialist output. But I'm going to be taking supremacy. I'm going to be gearing up for that war quite soon. Supremacy, and then I'll probably take the master shipwrights, followed by fleet logistics, followed by overwhelming force, and then I'll go to war. This is the end of episode 15. If you've enjoyed this episode, please leave a like. If you've got any feedback, please leave a comment. And if you'd like to see more content like this, please subscribe. Thank you for watching.